Okay, so it's Miss Vanity, and today I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I know normally when I do my sewing, I usually just focus on the sewing, and I don't actually talk to you guys about what I'm doing. I might put some comments and then keep you updated because I like to focus on the craft. I usually don't like to stop, take a video, do some editing, but I've had too many people ask me if they could take lessons, if they could come over and watch, and just ask me about tips and how I do what I do. So today I'm going to take the time and actually show you all the ins and outs of what I do in an average day of when I'm just sewing. So hopefully you like what you see, and if I get some positive feedback, I'll do all my future videos like this in the future. Alright guys, here we go. So if you've actually been following like what I've been doing as far as like my latest projects, I've been working on a Crown Royal liquor inspired Hennessy winter fall line, mostly hoodies and jackets. And what I'm working on now is something I've never done before. It's actually a reversible jacket. I am self-taught, so I am learning as I go along with this. And one of the things I have learned is that when you are making a reversible jacket, you are really making two jackets to put together to make one jacket. So I kind of gave myself double the work on this, but it was a learning moment. It's super freaking cute and dope, but I will let you see. Today what I'm going to be doing is I actually hated the sleeves that I was doing. So like I was saying, I was going to have them rounded, but I just didn't really like how they were hanging. They kind of looked like they were giving too much of like wrist cuts there or whatever. So I went back, cut those off, and I have a regular cuff for you, put the elastic in and everything. And what I'm going to be doing now is just reinforcing the seams, because what I had to do since I changed my mind was I had to hand stitch all these together to kind of put it together and add it on. What I'm going to be doing today is reinforcing it. But before I do that, I have all these little bobbins that I need to fill up. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on showing you today, is how to load a bobbin and prep yourself ready for any reinforcement work you have to do. Okay, so first thing you need to know is your spools of thread all come in totally different sizes and shapes and everything like that. For me, I sew a lot, so I tend to buy like spools that are pretty big, and I will add the thread to a bobbin for whatever project I have. But there are other sizes that you can get. We have smaller ones if you don't need to use that much of the thread. I know most of you guys have seen this size. There are even smaller ones if you just need a small project, and even smaller ones if you have even smaller projects. So I mean, there are a lot of options out there as far as like which thread to choose. Most of your sewing machines will let these sizes on the top spool, but on the inside, as far as the underside of the thread, you're going to need to know how to load a bobbin. So some of the newer ones do have like load-in features and things like that, but if you're going to take your sewing career seriously and everything like that, and you really want to learn the ins and outs, loading a bobbin is so basic, and you need to know how to do that. So as far as bobbins go, there are couple kinds out there. Sometimes you'll get like the little plastic ones that come with a sewing machine, like your little beginner's one. I don't love the plastic ones at all. I prefer the metal ones. They just seem to like handle better. One thing I will say, when you are working with these metal ones, and if you've used them for quite a long time, try to roll them on like a desk and everything, because sometimes they do get warped. Sometimes there'll be like a little piece that'll come up and the thread will catch on it, and you'll keep wondering why your sewing machine keeps jamming up, and it might be something as little as just replacing this with a different one. Alright, so I pulled out one of my older sewing machines, because this is like the basic one that you can get from like any Walmart, or if you're just starting out with sewing machines, this is pretty much all you need to just get the understanding of what you're doing. As far as what's at the top, this is where your spools will go for your thread. So when you buy thread, it would essentially just go right here, and you would load it in and load the thread through the sewing machine and through the needle. What we're going to be doing today though is doing the bobbin, and when you're loading the bobbin, you use this. And most sewing machines have it. Now, it'll usually click over. When you click it over, it actually changes the sewing machine to threading the bobbin stage. When it's in this position, it's where you can sew and actually feed clothes into it, and the needles will go through and sew. So it's important to know that it's in the right position, and you can even hear a click when you do that. Okay, so I have my thread here, and I'm going to be threading the bobbin. So instead of it actually feeding through like it would normally go, what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna actually go through this area. It's gonna have like a little bit of a wire to catch it. And what you're gonna do is go around this area. Normally you wouldn't deal with that, you would just come straight down, but because you're doing the bobbin, what this does is keep it level so that the thread keeps feeding in at a certain angle and not going too much above, too much below, and it's balanced correctly. All right, so you got your thread going through there. You need to grab your bobbin, and what's important to notice on the bobbin is that it has a whole bunch of holes and stuff at the top. You're just gonna take your thread and go through any one of those, and then place it right here. All right, guys, so I switched up the angle so I can kind of talk to you a little bit better. So like we said, we have this thread spool here. It is going through the wire area, looped around, and is going through the bobbin that is in the correct position. And the thread is laced through with a little bit of a slack through it so that it doesn't just pull out. And so what we're gonna do is just press down on the foot, and it should just automatically load up with a thread, and that's what we're gonna do now. Now, as you can see, it's just going, and it's gonna continue to load until it's full. Now, what this is right here is a bumper. It's actually gonna start slowing, and you can feel it stop once it gets to a full place. It is almost done. It's nearly touching the bumper, and I can feel it being full. So we're gonna stop it right there. You're just gonna click it back over and grab my scissors. And you have a fully loaded bobbin. We're gonna do this a couple more times with a couple different colors, and then I will show you how to load it into your sewing machine. Okay, so we loaded the bobbins up with the thread, and I have them all ready to go, and now what we're gonna do is actually put them into the sewing machine. Now, for the most part, they all are fairly the same or very similar, but they may load different. So the one I'm loading on right now is the Brother LX250. So if you have any questions, usually you can go onto the manufacturer's website or in your handbook, and they will walk you through how to load that. But for the most part, like I said, they're all pretty much the same. So let me show you how it's done. So right now I actually have some thread that's already in here. So what it's supposed to look like is underneath the foot, you can see there's a hole, and the thread just comes through, and you can actually see the bobbin turn in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and unload it. You also have like a little visual right here on what to do. Some of your sewing machines might have that as well. So there's always like a little reminder there of how to do it. Right over here, there's also another reminder on which way the thread needs to go. So on my machine, it's saying that the thread needs to be wrapped around the bobbin this way. So if I put it this way, the thread would wrap that way and it would jam up. So it's important for which side of it to be on. So we're gonna go ahead and just drop it in. Right over here, there's a little notch, and that's where the hook is. You're gonna need to take your thread and take it around it, and it'll just click on it. And then once it grabs it, you'll pull it to the side right over here, slide the top back on, and you're good to go. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Today we went over how to load your bobbin with thread and how to correctly put it into your machine. Hopefully this was worth watching and you liked it, and we can just keep on doing these. I'll gradually show you some steps and things along the way, and you can just join me on my sewing journey. If you have any questions, message me, inbox me. I'm really open. I love to hear from you guys, and that's a wrap. My name is Vanity. I'm out.